Hey guys, Oblivion903 here once again, and welcome to this week's edition of Flashback Friday. Over the last few weeks I've been looking at some classic games that really revolutionised the gaming industry. Now this week I'm taking a look back at more of a cult classic game, an absolutely fantastic one. This is Abe's Odyssey, the first part of the Oddworld series. The game centres around the main character Abe. He's a Madakan slave who works for the Rapture Farm meat processing factory. All is pretty well in the factory until he learns that the Madakans are next on the menu. After learning this, he tries to escape and takes the fellow Madakans that are also slaves with him. Development for Abe's Odyssey started way back in 1995 under the working title Soulstorm. It was changed a bit later on in 1996 to Epic before finally being changed to Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. The game, however, did stay very similar from the original development as Soulstorm up until the actual release. Before I move on to the game itself, I did find one pretty funny fact there during my research in the making of this video. While the game was in production, an executive of GT Interactive, the company that makes Abe's Odyssey, tried to sabotage the game because he just didn't like it. He took footage of the game to his boss to try and get the project shut down. Unfortunately though, depends which way you look at it, it didn't go to plan as the boss loved the game and actually gave more funding for it. So it was unlucky for him. It was very lucky for us though, because we would not have got this absolutely fantastic game should he have got his way. Back to the game itself now. Already in the series I have covered a couple of 2D side-scrolling platform games, and although this is largely the same thing, there is a lot of different twists in the game that do keep it unique. As I've already mentioned previously, the player takes control of the main character Abe. He's a Madakan trying to escape the Rapture Farm meat processing factory. While making his way to safety, Abe comes across numerous fellow Madakans who also work at the factory. Through a variety of funny conversations that can be had, Abe can get the fellow Madakans to follow him to safety, and when they are led to safety, they can escape through a portal made of birds. Slightly weird, but I suppose pretty unique. Abe can interact with the environment in numerous different ways, such as pulling a lever which could unlock a door, stop electric from blocking the path, to open up a platform which could cause an enemy or Madakan to plummet to their death. He can also pick up certain items such as grenades which can help clear paths and allow him to move on in the game. The most unique thing about Abe is that he's got some sort of mind control chant ability which allows him to take control of enemies. By doing this he can unlock doors or open up areas that would be otherwise inaccessible. He can also kill other enemies to clear the path for him, or he can kill fellow Madakans if that's just your sort of thing. Another fun element in the game is the variety of ways that Abe can be killed. He can be decapitated, he can fall to his death. To being hit by a giant piece of meat falling from the sky, there is an endless possibility of ways that he can die, and a lot of them are fairly entertaining. Abe's Odyssey was due to be the first game in a 5-part Oddworld series. Abe's Exodus was released a couple of years later, which was a direct sequel following much of the same gameplay mechanics, although a few improvements and new features were added. However, the series disappeared for a couple of years until the arrival of Munch's Odyssey on the original Xbox, which was a launch exclusive. In this game, the player takes control primarily of Abe's friend Munch, who is bound to a wheelchair. This was the first time in the Oddworld series that it went fully 3D. The game received mixed reactions, mostly positive though, and later on, a few years later, the 4th Oddworld game, Stranger's Wrath, was released. Over the last 7 or 8 years though, the series has died off quite a bit, apart from numerous ports of the original game, including this one, but just around the corner is a brand new Oddworld game, the first this decade actually. The game is called Oddworld New and Tasty, and although it's just a remake of the original game that we're playing now, it's the first game in a while, and hopefully one that will bring Oddworld back to the mainstream, and one that hopefully will get new gamers into this franchise, so fingers crossed over the coming years we're going to get some new Oddworld games if all goes well. The Oddworld series truly is a cult classic game. Although it never quite reached the success of games such as Mario and Sonic, it still has a very large following today. A few years ago there was a lot of rumours that the original Oddworld games were going to be coming to the Xbox Arcade and the PlayStation Store, however a few issues did arise over the coming years that prevented the Oddworld series from coming to the Xbox. However, it did come to the PlayStation and was later ported to the PS Vita. I believe one of the issues with one of the Oddworld games was the fact that it did breach the 2GB limit on the Xbox Arcade, and I believe it was literally only by a few megabytes. I think it was pretty harsh. They could have just let it slide through. I believe that Microsoft did lose a lot of money in sales through that decision, but there's nothing we can do about it now. It was eventually confirmed that it never happened, but PlayStation users did get to enjoy the original games again, which probably due to that success led to the upcoming Oddworld New and Tasty. So with that being said, that brings us to the conclusion of this episode of Flashback Friday. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's great to go back to these games, especially these cult classics that I enjoyed so much in my younger days, and one that you can still pick up now and play and still enjoy, and there's still a community out there. And like I said, with Oddworld New and Tasty literally just days away at the time of publishing this video, hopefully the Oddworld series is making a comeback. So thanks for watching, I hope you've enjoyed it, and please check out the previous episodes, and the next episode will be up very soon. Until then, bye for now.